This was another remote viewing the news target, and I loved this session. I'll warn you ahead of time, I'm going to be a big dork right now because this session was awesome and I loved it. This session was close to 24 hours out. My session time was right around 1400 hours Pacific time, which would have been around 1700 hours Eastern Standard Time, and that's where I was targeting. Eastern Standard Time, 1700 hours. And at the top of the site, I thought I saw flooding. Like a lot of flooding. I described it as a big open area, like a big bowl. And I saw these lines that were crossing each other, forming these triangular patterns. And I said it smelled fishy. And I described muddy water. And I wrote AO flooding. I'll just jump right to the target picture. It was exactly that. Big open area like a big bowl, muddy water. I love that I said it smelled fishy. You can almost smell fishy just looking at that photo. It's a great description. And I did a good job of declaring my analytical overlay. So if this wasn't a picture of flooding, hopefully that impression would not have colored the entire session, but it was. That's one of the benefits of declaring analytical overlay, is if you get a clear image, you can kind of put it out of your mind, because so many times clear images are just your imagination guessing at what the sensory impressions mean. But you don't want to just throw it away, because sometimes your imagination guesses exactly correctly. And that was the case here. So, analytical overlay flooding was a direct hit. Again, named the target. So, my next scan, I got this very strange impression of like this tropical fishtail that was like fanning out round on one end and pointed at the other, and it had these like cautionary colors, like this orange and yellow. And I mean, the hurricane was in Florida, so it could be that the tropical fish imagery was trying to give me something like that, or it could just be a miss. I might have just generated bad information. That happens all the time. Or it could be that my subconscious was trying to communicate the concept of a hurricane using familiar symbology, because I can't help but notice how similar those shapes are to like the hurricane symbol that shows up on a weather map. You know what I'm talking about? The spiral shape. That is very, very similar. Could be too ambiguous to make a claim that that was on target, but still interesting. And then directly after that, I got the impression of water falling, like drips of water. I saw a fountain, so I recorded the impression of water falling and wrote AO fountain. Again, you declare your analytical overlay so that it doesn't color the rest of your session. Now, up to this point, anybody would be justified in saying the hurricane was in the news. You probably could have predicted ahead of time that the top picture would be a picture of a hurricane. First of all, that's not true. You never know what the top picture is going to be, because you never know what sort of news events are going to grab a headline, and you never know what article is going to be prioritized at the top of the page. All of that renders the argument that you're just following the news cycle, renders it completely invalid. But just to go one step beyond that, not only did I describe the hurricane with the floodwaters, the smell, the fishy smell, the muddy water, big open area like a bowl, I drew this picture of this little wooden cross I was seeing. I was seeing this little wooden cross, and it was off in the distance. I described it as being small or in the distance. In the picture, there is this It looks like it's maybe a sign or something in the background, but it's this little tiny wooden T shape that just jumps off the page because I was describing this little wooden cross off in the distance. Now, what are the odds? You can talk all day long about, oh, you just described the hurricane. Well, what are the odds I was going to describe the flooding with a little wooden cross in the distance? And then the target picture is just that close. So yeah, I really enjoyed this session a lot. Now, we had another viewer get a really good hit on another hurricane like 3 weeks before this, like 2-3 weeks before this. Their username is TheMonkBoughtLunch, which, first of all, good username. But they submitted their session post hours ahead of looking at the feedback, and we kept an eye on it because I hadn't targeted that same thing that day. But I kept an eye out for the site that they were looking for, and they did get the hurricane imagery. So it's cool to me that the symbol, like that same subconscious communicating through symbology, the symbol made it into their session too, similarly to the way my session communicated mine. So something to consider there. But yeah, I just love that somebody else contributed to the site, and that's kind of what I'm trying to communicate with this whole project. Like, this strangeness is accessible. Like, there's different levels of talent, and different people will have studied and researched more to understand what it is that they're looking at. But anybody can do this. And the more time you spend practicing, the more you'll start to recognize what it is that's happening in your session. And then you'll get better at paying attention to what the remote viewing data feels like. That's when things start to get really interesting. So, I hope you love it. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I hope you get something out of them. And, yeah, be encouraged. Everybody can do this. All of you can do this.